Hey guys, it's Hazards280 again, coming at you with a new video here. This one's a 2009 Cadillac CTS-V. If you're even looking at this video, I assume you already know about the CTS-V and its capabilities, drivetrain, and things along those lines. But give you a kind of a more in-depth review of it for anyone that's out there in the car market and curious about this particular vehicle. I'm going to do a quick walk around here, just let you look at some of the body lines. The CTS is completely stock as far as I know. It's actually owned by a friend of mine, Levi. And he just purchased this car. I believe it came from Canada. And I'm located in Michigan. You can see the raised hood here, allowing room for that supercharger beneath the hood. Here we do have functional vents, proper V badging. As you can see, the front brakes offer a 6-pot Brembo caliper, and the rear offering a 4-pot. With a braking system such as this, you can imagine how quickly this car stops from whatever speed you may be going. Alright, now I'm going to go through some of the exclusive CTS, the V things on the exterior that kind of separate this from the standard CTS to a V. In general, it's kind of a sleeper. You would never imagine it has the power that it has just looking at the vehicle. Mind you, when we start this up, you'll hear that it obviously has the sound and the exhaust, but on the exterior, it's not boy racerish, I guess I'll call it. It has that nice, subtle look to it. Definitely something you can show up to and not be too gaudy or anything along those lines. So here you do have 19-inch rims. These are V exclusive. The car's obviously rear-wheel drive, like most CTS's. Obviously, you can get an all-wheel drive version with a 3.6, but there's no fun in that when you can have a 6.2 liter and rear-wheel drive. The front is really where you get most of the CTS-V features. You have the different front bumper, different chrome accents. You have functional ducts here next to the fog lights. And the car itself sits lower than the standard CTS. You have that hood I mentioned earlier. Some other features. So it has a nice planted look to it. I really like. Kind of reminds me of the G8 in a way. I guess in how that wide planted look. All right, we're going to start it up and get a quick sound note here for you. We got an exhaust note there. Thank you, Corey, for helping me with that. Holding the camera, it's appreciated. So the CTS does have remote start, as you'd expect with a vehicle of this price tag. This is your remote. It's a nice looking remote as well. It's not your standard GM remote that we've all became accustomed to. Nice Cadillac emblem on the back. And obviously you do have remote start. You just hold the lock button, hold the remote start, and it would start up for you. You do have a trunk release. I think I just happen to have a roadside assistance kit in here. But you do have generous room in the back here. This is just a net. There is no spare tire in this vehicle, but you do have the tire inflator kit and the foam and jazz. But obviously I wouldn't use that unless you absolutely need it, but it's there just in case. Alright, I do want to show you a couple things on the exterior that Cadillac did with the CTS, and they really changed the way that the car's lighting is designed. So when you see a CTS or any really Cadillac going down the road, you know it's a Cadillac and you have that brand recognition. So we all know that Audi has those lights underneath the headlights. Now a lot of manufacturers have started to copy that through the years. Chevrolet's doing it with their trucks, and Cadillac kind of went a different route. They do a lot of vertical lighting, and you can see it in the 2016 CTS. They have a big light bar and the bumper down here. But this is really where it started, and I'd like to show you exactly how those look. So now it's a little difficult to see right now in this particular lighting and not being another car going on the road, but you can see there's a light pipe right here that in person right now I can clearly see it, but it's hard to see, I guess, in the picture. But there's this pipe of light you have here, and going down the road at night, it's very evident that this is a Cadillac, because they all have that. Even looking at the rear here, there's obviously that pipe right here. And that's actually what Cadillac calls it, is a light pipe. I'm not making that up. I'll bullshit to you on a few things, but that's not one. Alright, continuing on, here's the engine bay to the Cadillac CTS-V. A lot of plastic covers, but we've all become kind of accustomed to that with GM. This particular engine is a 6.2 liter supercharged engine. It is an LSA, as most people would call it. It produces 556 horsepower at 6,100 RPM and 551 foot-pounds of torque at 3,800 RPM. Now, obviously, I've been driving the CTS here for about a day. Levi was generous enough to let me drive it, and it's an absolute monster. I mean, it really is the fastest car I've ever driven. 0 to 60 in this particular car, completely stock, is 3.9 seconds. Great job to Cadillac, great job to GM, really. It's a phenomenal engine, great drivetrain, car does great, handles great, and I'm actually looking at getting one of these as a replacement to the Pontiac G8. Mind you, the G8's been a great car to me, but this Cadillac was out in the same time frame that the G8 was out, and this was really their performance vehicle. That was kind of, obviously a step ahead of the G8. So, had the G8 now for about 3 or 4 years, and I guess we're about to say goodbye. Now, coming into the inside of the CTS, this particular one has a lighter color for most of the CTS-Vs I've seen. I do enjoy it though. You do have a full panoramic sunroof, and with the white, it just allows a great amount of light in the inside. It doesn't feel claustrophobic or anything along those lines. You do have carbon fiber accents going along the edge of the door frame here, soft touch materials, suede inserts, your trunk release, power windows, power locks, easy exit seats. You do have Recaro seats on this particular CTS. Mind you, that was something that you had to elect. On the CTS-V, you could get kind of plain Jane ones, and honestly, I think they're garbage for the type of vehicle that this is. So whoever originally bought this car, the fact that they opted for the Recaros is just a phenomenal choice. You do have V badging. You have a suede steering wheel. Coming along to the back, same build quality on the door frames, suede inserts, nice leather seats. I would say there's enough room for 4 adults. Would I go across the country in it? No. Would I go to the next state over? Absolutely. Alright, let's get inside and start it up, and I'll show you the startup sequence. You do have keyless entry. I have a key in my pocket here, and just by having that key, put my foot on the brake, turn it on. Looking at your gauge cluster here, you do have your tach on the far left, speedometer in the center. You have your oil temperature, gas gauge, and my favorite one, actually your boost gauge down there at the bottom. So I think the CTS-V makes around 8 to 9 pounds of boost stock. Obviously with the pulley change, you can get a few more pounds out of that and even further increase the output of this engine. This suede steering wheel does feel great as well as you're going down the road. On your steering wheel on the far left, you have your cruise control button, cruise control controls. I do like that they placed your traction control button right on the steering wheel. Cadillac obviously understood that this car was going to be used for some maybe not so legal things, and they placed that there just for easy access. So definitely a great choice by GM there. Controls for your audio control, for your infotainment system, Bluetooth controls there at the end. This navigation does pop right out of the dash here. It is touchscreen, so you can easily just push, turn up the radio, and use it like that. Or if you want more view, more data for you, obviously you can pop right out of the dash. This does have the Bose sound system. Typically, you know, I've kind of had mixed opinions about Bose, and I just think this one sounds really good. You know, I think GM had some poor quality Bose components in the past, and I think they really made this a lot better with this particular CTS. I think they told Bose, you know, hey, we'll give you a little more of a budget, build a better system, and give us something the customers are going to enjoy. And I think that's what happened here. Here's a quick sample for you here. I found a better song on the hard drive. Now, obviously, it's not going to sound as good on your end as I'm hearing, but maybe you'll get an idea here. Broke up with my girl last night, so I went to the club. Put on a fresh sweatsuit and a mini coat, sitting on dubs. I'm just looking for somebody to talk to and show me some love. Sounds much better than the G8 sound system. So I'm going to turn this down. I'm going to turn off the air as well, just so it doesn't mess up the microphone. There's a black veneer, kind of like a piano finish here on the inside. The CTS is known about getting that scratched, actually, and it's really hard to maintain. So you might see a couple things on this one, but for the most part, this one's in really great shape compared to some of the CTS-Vs I've seen. So the suspension does have magnetic ride control, and it's great. You know, I mean, right now it's in touring mode. If I push that, it goes to sport, and as I'm going down the road, it instantly firms up. And even when you're driving in either one of those modes, the suspension reads the road conditions actively, and it just makes quick adjustments to what's going on. So GM did a great job there as well. On the far end here, you do have day and night controls for the screen. So obviously I'd leave it on auto there. You can pause and play live XM radio, FM radio, everything. There's a 60-minute buffer there. There is a 40 gigabyte hard drive installed as well. That's where this song's playing from, because the XM radio didn't have good signal where I'm at. You do have heated seats, cooled seats with the Recaros, and then obviously each passenger has their own temperature settings here. Storage pocket. You have a suede shift boot with the V emblem right built into it. When you go down into drive, it starts off in just a standard driving mode, and as I push to the right, it goes into a sport mode where you do have the option to shift manually. Electronic parking brake. You have cup holders here. One tier. Second tier. And I forgot to note too, with these Recaro seats, they actually have a thigh support, which is quite nice. And the bolstering here can actually be changed right with the buttons on the side. So if you don't want it to be super tight on your side, you usually just push a button and these tighten up against your side and your legs. So if you get some spirited driving going on, the seats really hold you in place. Now I can't show you right now, but at night there is a ambient lighting that goes across these doors right underneath the carbon fiber. Creates a nice feeling at night, nice quality feel. Just really makes the inside of the car more relaxing. Obviously the sunroof does move. Some of these vehicles have a fixed sunroof, which, I don't know, not a big fan of that one. Alright guys, that concludes my review of the Cadillac CTS-V. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me anything in the comment section below. Please subscribe. I have a lot of cars I like to do videos on, and your guys' replies really kind of motivate me to make more videos.